Namaskaram. Myself Balram Sharma. I am a correspondent for the The Fleet Street. It's short we call it TFS. It's a student run media body. So we conduct usually surveys, do podcasts, and publish some articles and editorials regarding the in journal the student community issues. So today in such a line we are doing a podcast related to research community issues. So research is not just about publishing papers or solving problems. It's about a lifelong journey to finding oneself. So on that issue for the research community representing we have with us the research affairs secretary Mr. Chamin Diragal. Thank you Chamin for accepting our invitation. Thank you. So we talked about Chamin and then he eagerly did like accepted this invitation for this one. So this research affair council comes under a student affair council, a big group. So can you please just talk about for the wider audience that what is the structure of this council and how those people get into this one? And yes, please.
Fine. So first of all, thanks for the invite. And as you were mentioning, right time when I got the invite also, I'm not pretty sure whether I'm the best fit for such an interview because like as far as the institute is concerned, I represent only the research community which can be termed as a minority. And having a podcast from a student-run body, it reaches to the wide audience. So we might be focusing on someone or like something that should be beneficial for the whole institute or the whole student community. So I can share my experiences in this, like being a part of the SAC or how we conduct the events in the Research Affairs Council and what all things, everything like on an average or like as an overview we can share. Like if it terms to be something good to the institute community, then fine.
That will be fine.
So coming to the SAC thing, you see, it's a part of the institute. It's a vital part of the institute. What is the Student Affairs Council, and it's a bit. Um, unfortunate that the whole students is not being completely aware of the opportunities of student affairs council or who are all the part of the student affairs council and what all things we do or like what the SAC generally do. So as a part, like I'm not going into much explanations of the SAC, and precisely I urge all the students to read. There is something called the students constitution. All this thing concerned with the student affairs, including the SAC, is clearly mentioned in it. What is the role of each secretaries? What are all the possibilities of being a secretary and how he or she should perform? What all are their responsibilities? How each council should be working and regarding the formation of clubs and other hobby groups. Everything it is mentioned in the students' constitution. And please go through it once so that we'll get an idea of how the student bodies are getting worked and what are all your possibilities in like sharing your thoughts also, or else how you can fit search for your role in a key role to implement some things good for the student community. So everything is there in the student constitution. Please go through and find those things yourself. And briefly saying that we are present now, we are having 8 secretaries, leading by the students general secretary, and we are having separate council for academics, technical, sports, cultural, PG, and research affairs. So solely whole council can be formed by the discretion of the secretary, and secretaries will be being elected by the procedure. You know how it works. And everything related to the SAC is being presented in the BOS meetings, and then we have a committee headed by the dean students and all other like authorities. So we discuss, we propose something, and the whole committee discuss, and it gives better clarity. And what all are all possible extent we take, and other things which we need more clarity, we keep it for a later discussion, and something which is not practical or like not relevant, some rejections also come. It's how it works flows. And there are a lot of things related to the budget and how it works, how the filing of the bills and other things. It's all a complete procedure. Like if we start to talk on that aspect, time won't be convenient.
Okay.
A brief overview, if you read the student constitution, every information is available out there.
So research affairs secretaries are free to appoint their council. That's it.
Yeah,
But you, the way you form the council, please talk about that. Like it's been bit democratic in some sense. Like, please, can you elaborate on that? Like how you form that council?
yeah, fine. It's not a special consideration for the research affairs secretary. For all
Yes.
secretaries, they can fix the selection criteria, or like it's completely on the secretary's discretion how the council is getting formed. But like a specific position or a special position, it always comes with an added responsibility. So you should be responsible in a way to form the council in a good way. Like pretty sure that each secretary is spending their time and effort in selecting the members of the council. What I did was like how I term it as a democratic way. It's not exactly my idea, or I should not be saying that I implemented this thing. Last year also, I was part of the Research Affairs Council. I was a member being doing the administration thing. The council was headed by Raju as well justice. So he suggested this thing being a democratic thing, since secretary is being elected by the research scholars or the students. So we are giving an opportunity for the students to select the council members also. So how we did was we made a skeleton like, or like Aju made, or like in my council I made a skeleton. This much members for this much position we require. Like I should say that two for cultural, two for sports, two for administration, three for academics, three for technical, such sort of thing, and media and also and MS representative. So we had a 16, 17 member thing. So I floated a form that these are the available position. Those who are interested, please fill the form. So if we are getting applications, or the number of applicants is far more than the number of required number, then we will go for an election, a simple election that we'll be floating. This person is standing for the member of academics or for the member of technical to be a part of the research advice council. And through a simple Google poll, we'll be uh, finding who is the elected person. That was a simple thing, and very fortunate for me, in my council, such a situation never happened because the number of person who applied for the research affairs council was exactly what the number I required. But in last council where I was a member, there was an election for the technical member, and I believe so. For the
How that election was conducted?
through a Google poll only, like a Google form we'll share, and the person who is applicant for that specific position, they gave some poster and something. They aired, we shared among the research community, and we made a Google poll, and from that we elected the representative. And I vaguely remember that. Yeah,
So
like
a lot of people did participate in that because we also plot a Google form regarding this podcast. We haven't got much responses in that one. That's I don't think it's a good thing. Like in
it's a
as
usual thing, not only for any opinions or something. We usually face that lack of participation.
Yeah.
And as I told, we are having a research community of 420 hardly
Correct.
people, and the council is only formed with a 16 or 17 member people. So the entry was like that only, 20 odd, and that's only the requirement. So, and among the research community, it's a bit different in the sense that for the elections and other thing, it's almost a closed community, so that they know who will be standing. Like if we are telling like the name of Ajay or myself or even Rajkumar or any other person who is standing, so they will see. They usually avoid a sort of elections or something. Unanimously elected person or something is what they usually prefer. What I think like that. Otherwise, any democratic election is free to happen in the institute. So it's always supported.
So one thing I see is in this secretaries, there are three positions which are still back and nobody is contesting from them. So what is your view about it? Like why this is so, and like why there is a so low turnout for this thing? It's not low. It's actually nobody's interested in it. Like
Fine.
is it like a too much pressure from their coursework or something, or they have other problems?
Fine. Uh, like all these things which I answer now, it's completely my personal, strictly
Yeah,
personal
yeah,
opinion.
that's what I want.
Difference in opinions are always welcome. And it's not, we are not having any sort of special propaganda or something. It's completely personal opinion. That's what I'm sharing. So regarding this, what I feel is there are something which is if you are not like contesting in an election, and those secretary seats are vacant, then what the procedure is, we'll be nominating someone.
Correct.
So the thing is, they don't require to be present at the MTC, or like those who are having some introvert, some sort of nature, or like those who are having a scary, like they are getting scared of facing the whole crowd or something, they might step down. And all these secretary positions, it's actually an add-on responsibility. And all these people might be knowing that we won't be getting anything special, or we won't be getting any special rewards for this. It's all keen on interest, how we perform, and based on our interest only, we are stepping forward as a secretary. And keeping the like seats vacant, the whole system and administration should check why this is not happening.
What is the
And if it is prevailing in some sort of trend over these years, then we should work on motivating the students to come up, and that both the student bodies, like let it be the TFS, or let it be the other clubs, or let it be the existing secretaries, these students should go in hand with the administration, and like represent, or check what are all the possible reasons why the students are not coming up, and we should rectify that. So mitigating that measures and motivating the students will only be considered only the reasons for this,
Correct.
like to improve. So that sort of an approach should be viable, and it should be done. Then only we will be able to do such things.
So we may talk about you have some experiences in your UG and PG representing the community as such in your college or university where you studied. So what suggestions you would offer to those UG and PG students here? So they are not participating as keenly as they are. So in later, what are the things that help you to become a having gain experiences? How much they help you in your this current role?
Right. So that yeah, I completed my UG in a like a private college, and then I completed my PG in a government college. Then I was working also at the time of doing PG. Also, I was working, and then completely after that, I worked as in an engineering college as an assistant professor also. And after that, only I joined here. So the thing is, uh, like each person is different, and we can't compare the experience, or we can't compare the motivation of one person to, like, as a generalized thing.
Okay.
I can share my views. Like, I come from an atmosphere where it feels more important, like we should not depend anyone else to get us represented. That's such a thought that came from my locality where I brought in. So all those things might have influenced me. I am coming from such a point of like place where we always work in groups, and that united thoughts and being getting the things done through a united way, all those things might have motivated or influenced in my career building. So I was elected as the student union chairman in my UG thing. It was political, and I have my own political stand. So those are different things. And we were doing successfully doing activities. We were conducting events, and as simple as that, that I can keep. I got my first job immediately after my completion of UG, just because uh, like I got the interview, or like they were voluntarily selecting me, seeing my capability, or like seeing the way how I conducted one technical event, which that particular company was a part of. And they called me for discussion, and that discussion eventually turned to be an interview, and they offered me a job. So that was unexpected, but we can certainly expect to get such sort of good relation with a lot of people, maybe technical, maybe non-technical, or any on humanitarian concerns also. When we are in a position, when we are in a leading position or representing position, the people or the area that we commute is different, and we will be getting a lot of good contact, which eventually will help us in getting experiences and expanding our thoughts. See, all these people, I will be having a difference in opinion or different perspective. You will be having a different perspective. Correct. At the moment when I start to interact with a lot of people, then I'll be able to see different perspectives, and then I can analyze that which perspective is the best and how the evolution of the perspective is getting happened. Correct. So that thought or that process actually help in making one person or a one professional good way. It has actually helped me. That's how I got my first job. That's how we actually transfer our knowledge or efforts into money actually. Like getting the knowledge is fine, getting the degree is fine. Ultimately, we are doing all these things to convert it to money for a professional or a personal life. And in UG, after UG, while doing the PG also, as I was mentioning, I was part-time working. And in the PG also, like in a government college, I don't know how many of you will be able to relate that it's a different scenario. And I personally feel that the best part of my life was in that government college, those 2 years. So there I represented the PG community, and there also we are having multiple events. It gave me like very broad contact, and when I step into the institute now, also I'll be having different contacts of the professors out there. Their interaction, their perspectives, it's gives us a lot of boost to the confidence and how we interact with senior people, the way how we should interact, and the like I don't know whether you will be able to relate or not, but there is a certain thing that has to be followed, that we should not be shy on representing our needs. At the same time, we should not be arrogant on representing our needs also. There is a midline that we have to follow. There is no harm in being loud at times. Where we need actually to be loud, we should know where we should go loud and where we should have a subtle nature. So getting all these things on a proper way, all these experience on practical working, practical ground working will help you. So we have to represent, then only the administration or like the people who are around you will be understanding what you feel or what is the actual need.
Correct.
So you can't simply assume that, okay, if I represent anyway, it won't be getting done, or anyway, it won't be approved. So we don't have to think like that. First, we represent. Then they might be discussing some other thing which we might have not thought. Then we'll get a better clarity. Or when we represent or when we discuss, the other people on the other hand side might be knowing that something there is
These are the
something
concerns.
they might have not
Correct.
thought. Then that's how the system works. It can be the same thing in a professional institute or like professional industry also. The same thing. So how we go to interact with people, how we deal with the problems, how we manage the crisis, how we keep ourselves approachable to an entire community. All these things are key factors for your personal and professional life. That's what I believe. And I think that I have got some like improved some skills if possible. Like if I have done something, it's all through this combined effort of lot of people who I have met and interacted through these positions. So you do come up with such a position, make your representation, take that extra effort. It will like it's not a sudden investment, but it's trust me,
It's
it's
a worthwhile
actually a
investment.
investment that in future also at some point of time each one of will get benefited with such a sort of approach.
Yeah. So one thing I can see with this thing, like we can note like this leadership lessons, how to work with a team as you go in the corporation. So you have to work with a team, and in research also we have to do a lot of collaboration with the people. So those things will these will be the great lessons. This box offs for them to learn those lessons, real life lessons, and they will be like in a very controlled environment. And in the corporation level, the teamwork will be used, and there will be a lot of things that will be out of your hand. So it's like a controlled way to learn those things. So it's a good lesson somewhat for the UG and PG people.
And further adding one more thing, if you are in a position, like let it be, I'm the research affairs secretary, and I should not be saying like that in 1 week time I'll be changing.
Yeah.
So being in a position of secretary, we can't simply um, simply convey our personal messages or like personal perspectives.
Okay.
I'll be having some personal perspective, but I can't decide a thing or implement a thing solely on my personal discretion, because like we are representing a community, so I have to take care of that community, or like even the panel of members what we are thinking. So there is something that we should be doing, even though if we are slightly against that, but if the whole community is doing that, we have to conduct. And at the same time also, if the whole community is like willing to do that, but we personally know that it's completely against or it's not that good, then we have to go for the hard call also. So dealing with that mobility, like dealing with
these two things, duality
it's,
and subs.
it's actually a tricky thing,
Correct.
and we need experiences, and it comes only through like practically
Right.
when we do that. So it's a different thing, and that's how we interact. Also, we might be having difference in opinion with other people. The secretary can have a difference in opinion with even with some of the deans. It's a professional intake, or they take it very professionally. After that, if we are seeing, or like anyone who's seeing, it's not personal.
Correct. It is
Like
not. Yes.
yeah, each one doesn't
Yes.
have any trust issues. They'll be having issues and difference in opinion. It's purely
Correct.
professional, and no one should take it personal.
Correct.
That thing we have to carry forward in our personal life and professional life also.
Correct.
See, Chamin is not having any issue with the respected other professors,
Correct.
or those professors is not having any issue with me also. Like personally.
Mm.
But they might be having a difference in opinion.
With the
Like
research.
any dean or like any other professional might be having a difference in opinion with any of the secretary. It's between the meeting, and at the end of the meeting, we are clarifying the difference in opinion coming into a single decision, or like a single call. It's how the process works.
Correct.
To getting more experience from these processes will definitely help you.
Correct. So we talked about the diverse opinion. So how diverse is our that councils are? So like in your 16th board of secretaries this meeting, you propose one thing that reserving a seat for the women's. What was the response you got, or what was the like scenario that you want to say about here?
Yeah, the thing is, I should like
Reserving a seat in the sense like they can do this alteration, like
yeah,
they can do this one.
like I only propose them, and precisely I don't actually remember the actual numbers of the BOS, but
I see.
in one BOS I propose this,
We
not only
checked it
myself.
was 16th viewers
Yeah.
anyway.
Like the BOS, how it works is one form, one document will be shared by the general secretary. We all put our suggestions for discussion or proposals in that, and we as the entire SAC is presenting that to the BOS. So like I might be the person who has written that in the document, or I might be this person who has actually spoke into the BOS committee, but it should not be termed as a proposal from my side. It's actually the SAC proposal.
Type proposal.
But the thing is, when we discuss, each secretary will be having different opinions or the different suggestions. The same way, the other members also, the deans or like the hostel wardens, each of them will be having different suggestions. So we were discussing, and I'll explain how the scenario where I thought of adding this is, since I was mentioning that I was part of different unions in my UG and PG, and I was working as an assistant professor in an education institute. There also I am dealing with this councils also. So I have seen that all the council which I have come through and other institutes, there are certain positions exclusively made for female candidates, and there were in few institutions there were exclusively one lady representative post also. So I thought that it is a relevant thing to add, or like by uh, giving some slight modification to the institute student constitution, we can apply that also, because the thing is now fortunately we had our student general secretary, a female candidate, Dharini is there. You think of a scenario where the entire in the entire SAC there is no female representation. So in terms of any key discussions or like for key policy making, we have to invite a female member to the meeting. There is no harm in inviting, but the thing personally I feel is she may not be knowing the whole story, how the SAC works and what all discussion previously we had made on this topic.
Correct.
So she might not be in a point to comment on what all the things. We can take suggestions. See, taking suggestion, we not need any representative, and we can't simply consider that this person's suggestion as the suggestion of the entire student community.
Correct.
Because she is not
She is not having authority that
she is not elected.
Yes, correct.
If she is elected by the students, then we can voluntarily think that okay, her suggestion is representation of the whole student community. So that thing is that it will be it will be like difficult for that person also, and it will be difficult for the policy makers also.
Correct.
So keeping one particular position for exclusively for a female candidate will anyhow
enrich the opinion.
enrich the opinion, and it ensures the participation. So the discussion came like this. I proposed this. So it needs modification on the student constitution, and one among the suggestion was the 8 secretaries having different duties. The added new secretary might not have that much equal responsibility or each equal work. So how we will do was the question, and what we were discussing. So the student and from the dean side, if I remember it correct, the inside there was an opinion that we'll keep the number of secretaries same, and then we'll have a like a rolling system.
Yeah, that
So
rotation we can
rotation system also.
one at a time, that can be reserved.
But that is also a like possible thing. But some few of the secretaries were having a difference in opinion that it will limit the opportunities of people who are currently working in the council to show their experience or convert their experience as secretaries in the coming years.
Correct.
So they were like pretty strong on that note also. Like they might be knowing it better because they are interacting with the council members. So the proposed point was not actually rejected, or like we are not completely declined. So on that note, we came up with we concluded in one way that the policymakers will be checking the feasibility of adding this thing, and they'll be checking how the election process or election works on the rotational thing and other things possibly works. So they will get an idea on how it can be done. Meanwhile, we have to discuss among ourselves to have a better clarity,
clarity.
and we can take upon suggestions from other IIT councils also how it works.
Correct.
So this is how it actually concluded. So in future also, if the next track is following it up with a better clarity, things might can be done.
So recently we concluded 8th Research Scholar Day. So it was a wonderful success. A lot of those things were there. So I want to talk about something which matters most. What was the fund and sponsorship scenarios were there? How much you were able to raise, and what was the process, and what are the scope there, like prospect? Can we talk about this? Like how mm, we can more generate those sort of things, or we can reach out to the people who can.
Sure, sure. The thing is like, as you mentioned, RSD 8.0, like the Pravaha was a good event. It was a great success. And I'm thankful for all the people, our Dean Academics, ADPG, faculty advisors, and all my council members, or like core team members and the volunteers. And of course, the entire research community has participated well. And we had good number of internal and external participants. So everything went well. And I personally have uh, grief that we couldn't pull off the culturals because of certain things. Even in the we were discussing with our council members, and like when some mishappening is happening and students is having in two opinions, I personally don't feel it is a good way to have a cultural thing. Like it, and we were so keen on that our personal opinion should not reflect on the whole thing. So when in the gathering or like in the poll also, none of the like, um, core committee members have voted actually. Like it was completely written. But the poll actually come up with a 48-52 such sort of thing. Even the 52 percentage was on going for the culturals. But even like how we can do such a thing, like if it's like a 20-80 or like even a 30-70 also, okay, we can consider it as a majority. But the thing is like this, and the number of people who voted was also low. So in a 420 crowd, only less than 100 people is voting, then how we can go for that? So that was a thing, and it was a tough call. I take the whole responsibility, and I should thank Aishwarya GR who was heading the, and Amish who were heading the cultural thing. They had a really tough time. But if you are thinking from the perspective of anyone who's having such a sort of thing, we can't pull off a thing which shares happiness, joy, and that blast kind of a nature. It should be celebrated. And with this 48 percentage or like lower acceptance, we won't be able to pull that up. So it was a different thing. Okay. Then coming to your question, how we manage the fund. And this time on the 8th edition of Research Scholars Day, I'm very proud that we managed to get or find the 40 percentage of the expenses our own. it's through sponsorship, and also we have managed to raise the funds ourselves through technical workshops. So it was planned in the beginning of the RSD also. So it's that we should be uh, putting some effort to get some fund in a way. Any like there is no harm in saying that we initially thought of doing that, finding fund in a sense to have a pro show, but it was a different note. Even we end up in a position where we can't conduct a cultural, but fine. So that was the initial motivation. Then things evolved in a different way, and huge thanks to our Dean Academics, ADPG, and other people who actually permitted us to conduct the workshops, and also the Center for Continuing Education, CCE, Dr. S. Kanmani Subbu. Subbu sir actually helped, and the person who is dealing the CCE, helping the CCE, that Mr. Anandu. Anandu sir also helped in conducting all these workshops and other things, and the faculty members who are associated with that also, like even though they were not directly associated, but we went like we met actually them, and we have discussed even in the later stage only, but priorly we were not able to, because there were uncertainties in the number of this thing and whether it will be done or not. But previously 2 days or 3 days prior to the workshops, we have met them, and they were all willing and supportive also. So like huge respect and thanks to all those faculty members and CC especially. And how the things work, we hosted mm, a string of workshops, and almost 400 people showed up. So it gave us a lot of benefit on a monetary side, and like all the money was like collected with the help of the CCE, so that like you know collecting money from accountability is different. So they helped a lot on that, and as the sponsorship, a dedicated sponsorship committee was there, and dedicated committee in the sense it was only two members, Miss Davanita and Miss Yusra, and I was like offering some help at some point of time whether they need, but completely I should give the credit to Navanita and Yusra. They have done a fantastic job, and I personally communicated with the IPTF, and with our collaboration they have sponsored one event. So it was a mix of one sponsored event from inline sort of thing, and then sponsors from the external. There we had gift partners, three gift partners of 10,000 each. Then two people have stall out there, and they were quite happy with the interaction with the students, scholars. So it gave around like how much it will be, like 80,000 something. And one event completely sponsored by IPTF, it also comes around like 75,000. And then we collected a lot of money from the student workshops also. So this was how we generated, or like how we were able to meet the 40 percentage of expenses. It was not planned like we will be meeting this 40%. Like in the budget itself, I have proposed that we will try to find this much amount on our own, and the remaining we have requested from the not SAC. The complete fund is institute fund. RSD is not at all a SAC. And huge respect and thanks to our director also. He was in the beginning stage granted the amount, like we proposed in a very structured way, and then he had suggestions right from the beginning, and then he has approved. So that also very good thing from the institute, that they are doing such things. And like whenever the institute is giving something and where they are able to support us, it's an add-on responsibility from our side to see what all things is possible from our end. So that's what the initial thought was, and very grateful that we are able to pull that in a good manner.
So on that note, we will like to ask you about that this fundraising issue is there. So what are your you were able to raise some funds regarding that. You have some idea about that emergency fund that should be with the SEC members, so they can in emergency situation contingency fund should be there, so they can just use that without prior approval, and that approval can be done later stage. So what are your thoughts on that?
See, the thoughts on I'll see it in different way. Um, This perspective is actually in other institutes, not particularly IIT or other things. The union will be having an emergency fund actually. So I have somewhere with some SAC members or some people I have mentioned this, I think so. So that initial that emergency fund can be utilized at any time or like any emergency occurs, and it's not like we can spend it without any approval. Any fund when we are using from the student body or like student academic like affairs council, we should go for the approval. But an emergency fund gives us a provision that at that emergency situation we don't have to find the source of fund. So that can be made, and how, and it's not only for the emergency thing. We are having our flagship events. The whole SAC is dependent on the SAC funds, which is available. Now we are getting, we don't know how it will work in this further. And uh, as I mentioned, I come from a situation where we were actually struggling to find the funds to conduct the events. And in that situation also, we have managed to conduct lot of events worth lakhs. That it's because of the strategies that we followed to find the funds. Now here in this particular institute, we are having good amount of fund. Okay. So that if then also if you are finding scarcity in the funds, instead of just seeking or like asking more fund from the institute, check the possibilities how the students can generate funds. It's not like collecting money from the students. See, we can actually conduct events. Like for RSD also, we have managed to raise funds through student-led workshops. So such as thing, see, we have a Petrichor. We know that at any instant, like what all happens, we have to conduct Petrichor. It's a flagship event, and it needs some expenses. We have to work for sponsorship. On the sponsorship, the business ideas will be different. Each firm, if we go every year, they won't be able to supply sufficient funds in terms of sponsorship. So how we generate funds our own? We can conduct activities. So the Petrichor committee can collaborate with the SAC, and then continuously with the help and approval of the faculties and respective deans, we can conduct activities as a fundraising. Then we will keep that fund for this, might be for the emergency fund or might be for the Petrichor or other activities. So that's how we can do. Conducting activities like workshops, technical workshops is actually a good thing because we are having that IIT time. And then other sort of competitions also, like hackathons or like other things, we can actually work on. And we can try to get sponsorship from IPTA for Tekin or some other things for these events also. So it's like it will eliminate a bottleneck at the time of the event. We go rushing towards the sponsors and asking for sponsorship. If we start early with a systematic plan and a diverse the options in generating fund, then it will be helping the whole student community so that we can work in a relaxed manner and we'll get some fund and at some point of time we can slightly uh, uh, like slightly stop relying or completely being dependent on the institute fund. If we are able to generate something, then it's good for the institute also. So that in that perspective, we can work on. We have the potential with the students. So with the systematic planning and strategic things, we can work on generating.
This fundraising in somewhat will give us a leverage on our efficiency also and accountability that will set, right? Like, because if we don't do it efficiently, then the next time this fund may not be raised that much, right? Like,
Yeah,
so it
that
will
will,
somewhat improve our efficiency also.
yeah, efficiently in the sense, if we are getting the fund from the institute, it's getting just like that.
Yes.
We don't know the effort behind getting that fund. See,
Correct.
we are saying that is the whole institute is running from the funds of the fees remitted by the students. It's fine, but the whole cost to run as an institute is not that simple. And the permutation and combinations, all these people will be working on the accounts is a different thing. It's on a higher side. We can't compare that. It's exponentially different. So When we generate fund, then we know the difficulty of generating the funds, and it gives us an accountability on how we spend money also. What are all the needs?
Correct.
How we spend? How we can save? How we'll utilize this thing? How we deal with like money-oriented
Money.
things? All these things we'll get an experience. At the same time, it gives a slight independent nature in
Then
keep
is
in like conducting the events.
so research scholar day was mostly a research scholars this thing, but we saw this time there was a OELP project presentation from the UG and PG. So, but overall the UG participation was really low that we saw. And it goes same thing for the industry academia conclave also we saw. And recently by the technical affairs secretary, there was a one, this technitium that some sort of competition where award was there. Still the turnout was really low. So what do you think we should do to attract more UZ people into this sort of
Fine, and that fact is a bit unfortunate that the students are not showing up for such good activities. And when coming to RSD 8.0, we had this OELP presentation.
Mm.
So personally, like I should say that it's not at all completely 100% my idea. What I proposed was for the research scholars who are having the prototypes, we'll have a like prototype display or a project display sort of thing, so that the people who are coming will be able to see some exhibits. We are having posters, we are having presentations, but this thing also will be worth sharing that, and the scholars will be able to present, or like will have an experience in presenting how the prototypes actually. That was the beginning idea, and that eventually evolved to the OELP presentation with the inputs of Dr. Atirapi, our Dean Academics. And like initially, I should say, like initially, I should say that I was doubtful that RSD being a complete event for the research scholars, how whether it will be of a good thing to incorporate a specific scheduled space or scheduled space for the UG people. I was doubtful. And then it was Madam who like made it clear that we'll give something as a try we'll do, and whether it is working out or not, we'll be able to check only then. And then she has voluntarily asked Dr. Nelson Muthu to like assist on finding the OLP project. And then I looked in Divesh also. Divesh, he was doing good. He has done exceptional work on IAC also. And we were closely working. So I have that freedom to simply pull him in to that. So that OLP was completely governed by, I made the needed arrangements. I kept the preferred slots and schedule. But the things were properly guided by Divesh, and this is how it actually worked. And I'm pretty happy that it went well. Even the number was only 10 OMP presentations with it, but for the first time as a beginning, it was pretty good. And purely when RSD is concerned, the UG and PG participation is not only in like presenting something. It is hugely, it should be counted on how they attend the sessions. Let it be the presentations or let it be the poster. And possibly from next year onwards, I think there will be like the PG people will be also included in the poster presentation.
Yeah, because this is the thing. There was a incident was there in the RSD. Two or three MSc people from the chemistry department, they want to present their posters, but they got rejected somehow. So
It's
that
not
was
rejected.
yes.
Initially, it was not. It was only counted to the research scholars. The policy was not changed. That's why, and it came on the last minute only.
Okay.
So, like, it was not like
Because I
it
remember
was
there
an
was a mail
oversight
from
actually.
the professor
Yeah, yeah.
regarding this one.
We had
Maybe
discussion also.
available.
I
Yes.
personally
Yes.
discussed with them. Personally, we don't have any issues in including them. But
Yes.
in the last minute, it was thing like we never thought of such perspective or like such direction. That's I like from the point of view of the discussions, it was an oversight. So probably from the next year onwards, it will be done.
Maybe
It's
so.
not like a discrimination, but it was an oversight. So it will be done. And but the major share is like for the UG and PG people, how they will get to know what are all the possible challenges, what are all are the potential works, and how it can be presented to the wider audience. You see, a mechanical engineering guy will be presenting his work in an RSD or like such a platform, not only for the mechanical engineer people. If he is doing a research seminar, the most of the crowd will be of the same domain. But in RSD, he'll be addressing a guy from the mechanical, from computer science, even from humanities. So we should possess the capability of making our work understandable to a layman.
Correct.
So such a sort of presenting skill also, how we are dealing with that, how we are addressing a layman's doubt. See, if I am presenting something technical, I will be very effectively, I can effectively explain a doubt which is purely technical. But in a layman point of view, the doubt
Yeah, it will be very
we might not be able to relate. So such a sort of thing, how we are managing that, all these things can be treated as an experience to the UG and PG people. They might even end up in finding a
their project
project
maybe
problems also.
project problems.
So it's like we urge the people to come and attend such good events. And even for the institute colloquium also, you see, the number of participation is very low. At times we are having 1,500 plus student community here, and we face it that hard to fill the 300 capacity rooms. Hmm. And coming to IAC, I was closely working with Divesh and his team in the IAC, and I should say that Divesh and his team has good, very good work in that. Even when we were discussing also, if they are not finding Divesh, the team members will come and meet me and discuss. And that sort of respect, that sort of space for us, they have given it very good, and it went pretty well. So I was doing the poster presentations charge and other thing. We were having around 45, nearly 50 posters, good numbers. But the thing is, the poster presentation in RSD is different, and poster presentation in IAC is different.
IAC.
Both having different perspective, both having different needs, and we expect different things also. So it's better the UG participation and the PG participation, they exhibit their research works in IAC that can possibly convert the thing to eventually as a job or a profile. Internship opportunities, their jobs, everything that can be easily converted. So we should promote more UG and PG participation in IAC also. At the same time, to gather the experience and find the potential problems, we should ask them to attend the RSDs and other presentations. And you think of the institute colloquium, for all the institute colloquium, let it be any institute, they will be calling pioneers of that field. So they'll be having experiences, like the number of year of experiences that have is pretty more than our present age. You see, so that much experience as a shell, as a unit, we are getting on the exhibited floor. So interacting with them will definitely help in some way which is unpredictable. So we should actually motivate the whole students to make use of such opportunities.
So let's move to the some uh, fest or festival kind of thing. Now it's being very technical so far. So the thing is, we have a one festival here. We celebrate fest. We call it Petrichor. But this time we saw one thing. There was no open house to our things, and there was very low turnout for that. So what do you think? What was the reasons and how we can improve those sort of things?
It's a complete decision by the institute side. And keeping the institute open each year at a developing stage might be a concern. I don't know it properly, because we have our own constraint in the infrastructure, our own constraint at the present stage. It's as it is a transit. It is a developing and growing institute, so we are having the works going on here and other things. Each time we have to shift labs, or when we get new equipments, the labs get crowded. So all these things are there. So such point of view might be a concern from the authorities, that if we keep the institute open each year, the crowd might not be in a manageable thing, and we might not even get dedicated time to prepare for open houses to exhibit things in a different way. You see, we can't exhibit the same thing over the years. So we need some time to prepare new things. That might be the reason for the open house. And if we open it for every year, the crowd might also feel like hesitant to come each year to see the same thing. If it no alternative years, the same schools or like same institute or the same crowd might even come to check the new things. So it's a good perspective in that consideration. And for the Petrichor, how like the time actually matters, and the work we have to market the event. That is the flagship event. We have to market. We have to focus on the potential areas or like the potential community where we can attract more footfall. So such a sort of strategic approach we have to think. It's not a perspective of one particular person specifically. We have to sit and discuss, or like the people who are associated with have to sit and discuss and then critically analyze what all are the reasons, and they have to mitigate that to get the better situation next year.
So now we can talk about the issues related to student community in general. So the few things they were finding was this is a research scholars things only. So in the food option in the mess they want pay and eat option. So what is the like scenario now? Pay and eat.
And the like I'll say from the beginning itself, pay and eat option actually got discussed first at the term of Professor Jagadish Bedi as the dean student. He found the thing he considered this thing was like like what all things we talk about the research scholars, they are having an uncertainty.
Correct.
Because like I am not discriminating the students point of view, but there is an uncertainty because
Nature of their work.
nature of the work, it's not predictable. We are not dealing on a perfect scheduled times. Like if your UG or PG people are there, they are having a fixed schedule. So the range of uncertainty is a bit less on other people, and sometime our experiments will go worse or like will take more time. Sometime guide might call, or like the guide meetings will extend to an extended time. So it feels as a burden for the research scholar to go on the proper time to mess and have food. That was the first thing. And second thing, that like the difference in taste buds each of the students will be having. So if you're having a pen and eat option or like a mascot option, it's a good thing. So that's how we first approached the dean for a mascot, and this was the points which we actually thought, and we did that. We got the provision for mascot, and we are thankful for that. But the thing is, when we are considering uh, like a mess of such a sort of thing, we are having a 400 people of research people, and in that 300 people are then. If you are availing a pay and eat option, then the whole 300, 350 people will be opting that.
Correct.
It will create a bottleneck at the food serving counters, or like in the paying time. You think a lot of crowd is it is not managed, and around this 300 is not a number that you can simply treat as a buffer.
Correct.
If these people are coming out of nowhere without a prior information, if they are taking food, and those people who has actually paid and depending the mess for their regular food meals, coming late, if they are not getting the food, who is responsible? So such a sort of thing was actually practical scenario was prevailing. That's why we are not able to give an option, which was pretty understandable and good thing. And now the scenario is, since we are knowing all these things, I came to know that a new tender is being floated for the mess. So at that time, I requested our respected dean students to please consider this. At the tender document itself, you please mention that we might require this particular thing because of this. And it, so these uncertainties and all other difficulties is also priorly informed. So within the tender itself. So accepting those and rules, if someone is coming, then we can be like
Having this.
easily giving that pay and eat option.
One more thing was the regarding the food options. So we don't have much food options, especially at the late night scenario. If you see, like this Kapi canteen is there that goes close, and the same goes for Nescafe. Nescafe you cannot get something like it's all fast food thing. You can get Maggie sandwich and this nowadays they are serving momos and all. So if you go to the healthy food options, you won't find much in the night time, especially out of mess. If you see, like dosas are being served at the Kedaram canteen. but that too up to like think 9 or 10 o'clock. After that, they finish those things, and then only they will have some fried rice or the noodles or something. So, is there was a discussion regarding this one that we should have some healthy food options, especially night or
Yeah, fine. I'll like answer this thing, but mm, while completing the
yeah,
thing which
please,
you are telling.
please.
So regarding the pay and eat option, so now I believe that it is included in the tender.
Tender.
So now when the next people is following it up, it will be happening. That's what I believe for the next semester. Fine. And the late night thing, you see, the practical fact is, although we are having a 1,500 people crowd here, to get a caterer to cater our needs is pretty difficult. From my understanding, I am not completely sure. From my understanding, what knowledge I have received is, or what information I have received is, the people who are showing up for the tenders is pretty low. So that's why we are not
That is it.
able to get the things. And even our hostel affairs secretary was checking something regarding having a uh, late night counter or something. And after that, what happened, I am not pretty aware. So even though we are having this much people, from the point of view of a vendor or a caterer,
Business.
purely business when we
Business.
are talking about, we are not able to ensure that this much amount of business will be occurring each day. We are not in a position to assure that. So on what note these caterers will be coming, we don't
We
actually.
don't.
So that's a practical difficulty, and I believe that the administration is working on tackling that practical difficulty. We will find something soon, and always suggestion from the students are always accept like
Yeah.
open to suggestions also. If we are finding something related to good suggestions, so we can actually work on it.
So one thing we want to talk about, like after PhD career, post research careers. So you conduct some workshops or talks on that. So what was the turnout there, and what was the scenario in that?
For the post-research career, it's actually a good turnout. We started the postdoc post-research career preparations and approaches. It was done by Dr. Arun K. Raj, who is a Mary Curie fellow. So it was like we booked a like what's the actual capacity of that room in Saraswati first floor? It's like
90 or
150.
120? Yeah. There are
120,
two
120.
120.
Yeah, it was almost full.
Mm.
So more than 100 people registered, and I vaguely remember it was 113 or something.
Mm.
We started with that. Then we had a representative, the DAD representation. There we are conducting the event in Nila, that large classroom. What's the total strength? That
Yeah, ground floor.
ground classroom just adjacent to the library.
I like
That was also full. And last time we are having representation from IPTAF and uh, Tekken. So those classes also nearly filled. So that I see this is the need of the hour, because we are spending a lot of time. At least 5 years we are spending for the research,
research.
and even 6 to 7 years also possible. Like time
The time.
takes, and after that, what we'll do is actually a nightmare. So we are trying to get as much information possible to equip ourselves and make ourselves in a position to find or like prepare to grab any opportunity that comes across. So as much as information we collect, as much as we prepare ourselves, as much as we keep ourselves open, the chances to get a good career is more. That's the only thing what we are focusing.
So one more question was, we talked about some MSY research guys. They talked to us. They were saying there were some opportunities which were there in the placements thing for the M.Tech specifically, but not mentioning the MS. So there are two reasons for that. Whether the corporations or the company that is visiting here for the placements recruitment, they may not know whether the MSY research exists here or what sort of curriculum they are following. It is similar to what M.Tech have. They are also taking those sort of courses, and or it is from the placements ignorance that they forgot to mention that MS is also like allowed to sit in the placements which are there for the M.Tech, or whether this is being communicated with the companies, and or what is your thought on that? Whether you
Yeah, I'm not completely aware of how the system works with the placement cell. Better the academic section and our one of
Yeah,
our
represent.
representatives, MS representative, might be knowing that. And preferably from my experiences and the general knowledge, what I'm having is usually the placement cell will be approaching the industries, and these industries or the firms which offer the placements, they have certain criteria, and they will be asking for that only. So the eligibility criteria to sit in the interview or being a part of the interview will be solely directed by the industries,
Industry.
and some minor changes within the limit of the placement cell they will be providing, and that too we cannot generalize that because it varies from different industry. And I'm pretty sure that some of the MS people has actually being part of the interviews, and even one among my friend is also got placed with the M.Tech thing. And why this industry is particularly mentioned M.Tech, because of two reasons I should say. Because one is they find it more technical, or like industry ready people is the M.Tech people, and on the other hand, with the large probability, they consider the MS research people as somewhat who might require a large overhead compared to the M.Tech people. Overhead in the terms of packages and
Makers.
others. So simply these people will be looking forward to meet their needs on the minimal side. So that might be the reason. And there is no such discrimination with the MS people from our point of view, or like placements. That's what I believe, since few of the MS students has actually
Got
attended the interviews and got placed. So it will be solely with the communication or the information or the need possessed by the industries.
Okay, so on the last note, we will ask question now. So, what would be your suggestion for the upcoming SEC members, those secretaries which are going to be elected, and your upcoming research affairs secretaries? So, what would be your, you want to like advise them something or?
See, I am not a person who is that much relevant to give advice to these people. I'm just as equal as these students, one among them.
Mm.
So from the experience, what I gather is, first thing, to be in a representative position, we have to be completely aware of the system. The system includes the whole administration, the institute, and the students.
Students.
For the research, especially if I'm saying, I should say this, that the research community here is highly demanding. So, like as I mentioned, as a secretary, we might need to think out of our perspective. We might need to act out of our personal discretion, because we are representing the huge community. Even if we think that this particular thing is not relevant, but they are asking for a representation, we might need to represent also.
Correct.
So, such things, we should take the responsibility in such a way. We should not take anything personal. And for the SAC members, we should work as a whole. The entire SAC should work as a whole, so that the whole student community will get represented, and they should act more sensible. See, some point of time or someone might ask you that you are here to learn only, but it's not the scenario. We can learn, we should learn. At the same time, this for the UG and PG especially, this time these students will not get in future. So we should make use of each and every moment to get the most out of it. So it comes as a package. It's not only for studying or not only for completing the projects and leave. It's the whole thing. We should build a career. At the same time, we should build a good memories, good relations, everything. So the SAC members should be in a position to felicitate such thing, and especially for the research affairs secretary and the whole thing. We have done something. We will be and for the research affairs secretary especially, we have done some events. So it came out of the perspective of the present research affairs secretary and the council. So I appreciate that if you people are able to find some new events and new initiatives, it will be a good thing. Otherwise, otherwise it will be a repeated add-on things going and going over. So brainstorm, then find up with good initiatives, which is actually good for the research scholars in the technical side, in academic side, in cultural, or like the entertainment side, everything. So preferably, like best wishes for all the newly contesting people, and hope all the SAC members will be having a good time with a good relation with the whole student and the administrative people.
So, okay, with this note, we can thank Mr. Chamin for this podcast, and we will here wrap this podcast. Thank you.